Good afternoon and welcome everyone to Body Slam Your Ears. I am C4 and with me is my co-host Issa, the Demon Diva. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am doing super and thank you for asking. But tonight is the night Tony Khan's going to make an announcement about an announcement about an announcement. And what could it be? Well, it's running rampant that AEW and HBO Max have somehow come together and we're going to get AEW streaming on HBO. That has not been announced yet. That has not been confirmed, but that is what people are reporting. What do you think about that?
Wait, what? What'd you say?
You've got to be kidding me.
I'm not. I'm sorry. I'm overwhelmed with all the announcements and the announcements of announcements with announcement. I just made an announcement on Twitter. So I'm sorry. What was your question again? I had a little static. I had a little static on the line. Can you repeat the question, please?
I just want to make sure you're blaming yourself on this one. AEW HBO Max streaming platforms.
Oh, yeah.
It's being reported everywhere, but Tony Khan has not announced it officially yet. But when he was asked about it on a media call today, he kind of was very vague. The rest of the questions that were asked to him, he gave you long answers. The streaming one, he kind of held close to his chest. So is that the indication?
And
this is true.
Yeah, we were both on that call, and he did say, that's all I can say for now, and kind of like moved on, which is very rare. If you ever done an AEW media call with Tony Khan, he actually gives very lengthy responses. A lot of times the response is so lengthy that he doesn't really answer the question. But I will say that on this one, my antennas went up. I was like you. I was like, wait a minute, what is it? What are you saying here? Because you never just not answer like that. Everything, and he's not afraid to call people out either. But on this one, he said, and he was very clear. I'm not allowed to say anything else for now. Meaning, if there's NDAs, if it's on the work, I have a feeling that it is coming, and I hope so. I think that's the thing lacking for AEW right now is a place to go back and watch things. I wish they had that.
True. And I think it's because it's so new and fresh that, like, honest to God, like you mentioned before, you didn't start watching wrestling, at least WWE, until like 2015. Right. So, like, why do you want to watch 1993 Monday Night Raws? You probably don't, but somebody does. And AEW,
no, but there's a lot of things.
You only have 2 years to backlog and watch versus I got to go back to 1993 and watch every episode of Raw.
Exactly. And you know what? It's still, though, at least the pay-per-views, right? Because when I came back on my journey of watching wrestling, no, I didn't watch every episode of Raw, but I know there's certain moments, right? If you didn't watch for certain years, there's certain moments that always get brought up. And it was just so awesome to be able to go back and get caught up. So when you bring up a moment, you bring up a random episode of Raw in the 90s, I'm not going to know what you're talking about, but there's pay-per-views and moments and matches that are so iconic, and having the opportunity to go back and watch them so that I can speak about it is awesome. As wrestling fans, you always want to know. You always want to be on the know. You know how we are. And in addition to that, if you are a newer AEW fan, I shared this with you the other day. You too. I don't think we were into AEW as much on the beginning, but we are now. And now is a perfect time to do it because people will be able to go back and get caught up and be able to know the whole history of the company before it just becomes too much. I think it would be a perfect business idea for Tony Khan, and like I said, especially the pay-per-views, because there's a couple of matches. I went to All Out, I went to Full Gear, not bragging, but I'm bragging, and I haven't been able to watch them back. I would love to have a spot to go when I come back from these trips and be like, let me see what it looked like from the crowd. Yes,
and I really wonder if these pay-per-views will be available on HBO Max, because I know they've been trying to do live sports lately. So having AEW kind of a guinea pig to see if these live events will work will be a flat feed.
Yeah, I would assume so, right? Oh no, I lost Steve.
Sorry, I got a phone call really random quick. Will these pay-per-views be a flat fee? Will they cost you $40 just to watch them on HBO Max? Like, there's a lot of questions I have about this deal.
And I gotta tell you something. I love the idea about HBO Max. I think Peacock still has a lot of work to do with their platform. I don't think they were ready for wrestling content, and it's still messy to find things on Peacock compared to the network, right? Yeah. But I'm going to go ahead and say I love that there's extra content on there. the WWE Network was great. You had all the WWE, but now that they're part of Peacock, you get movies, you get shows, you get things that you might have not even gone back to watch. And now you're like, oh, look, I remember when Halloween came out. I'm a huge horror fan. And I was still in the middle of this weird pandemic. I ended up streaming it on Peacock, and that's how I watched it. So I love the idea of it being on HBO Max because you get so much more content too. Makes me wonder about the price. Like you said, is it going to be a flat fee? Because HBO does have a lot of content in their platform already. So I wonder what they'll charge for a membership.
Well, because if you go back to even, like I have Disney Plus. Disney Plus has premium events, and they also have their streaming. So for instance, if I wanted to watch Marvel's Black Widow when it first was available on Disney, I had to pay like $20, $30 to watch it immediately. Now, I could wait 2 months and then it'd be free. But if you want to watch it then and now, well, you got to pay for it. Is that I wonder if that's going to be the same case with at least pay-per-views with AEW.
It depends because you have to take a look at the numbers, right? Like AEW is reporting, I think there was like 200,000 buys for All Out. You have to see what they're making and how this deal would work out for them, because I don't think AEW is hurting when it comes to making money on pay-per-view. So I would assume Tony Khan wants to make sure that the deal is lucrative for him because he is making money on his pay-per-views. People do buy AEW pay-per-views. I think the idea of having few pay-per-views a year make us kind of like justify spending it, because it's like, when is the last time we spent money on an AEW pay-per-view? If you're buying pay-per-views Full Gear, that was months ago, so why not give him another $50, and he does put good cards together.
Of course. The AEW Revolution's coming up and has a great card, though. I'm just interested in seeing if we'll get added content like how the WWE Network used to have documentaries and sit-down interviews that are lengthy, like the Broken Skull sessions. Jericho had a show for a little while. Jericho's podcast is a perfect platform for a new AEW type show on HBO Max.
Yeah. Not even that. If you take a look at it, and I don't know, because like there's so many things back and forward with what YouTube channels belong to WWE and which ones belong to them. Like Up, Up, Down, Down is a WWE thing. The Bella's YouTube channel belongs to WWE. So I know that a lot of their creators have their own YouTube channels, successful too. They do a lot of vlogs. I watch BTE religiously. It would be awesome if they were able to sign something with the Young Bucks and their channel and put some of the vlogs on HBO Max.
Yeah, and I think we talked about it a second ago, but now that I'm thinking about it more and more, because it was a very exciting idea, is if if AEW is offered, hey, we're going to pay you, I'm just throwing out fake numbers, $1 billion. We're going to throw you $1 billion, AEW, to be on HBO Max and over 5 years, just like the WWE deal. So in reality, if you do put your pay-per-views on HBO Max, you're still getting paid. It doesn't matter if they did well or did poorly on pay-per-view buy rates. It's because you already got paid. Like, the event is already paid for. So if you put on a bad show, it's still already paid for. If you put on a good show, it's already paid for. So, I guess we'll really have to see what happens there.
But do you think that will hurt the cards that he's putting together? Because I do think that he thinks people are going to pay $50-$60 for this pay-per-view. I better deliver. I don't think so. Tony Khan is such a big mark, and I mean that in a good way, that I don't know that he'll half-ass a pay-per-view. But I'm just saying, you can see some of the quality of the premium live events of WWE that they feel like they didn't try hard enough, because why not? They're already getting paid.
Right. Yeah, exactly. The event's already paid for, so really you could put out the crappiest matches for 3 hours. You're still going to get paid the same amount of money if you put on a great show versus a bad show, which, whatever. I'm just excited to go back, and I tried watching the first few weeks of Dynamite, and I just couldn't get into it. I just really couldn't get into it because I just couldn't. I don't know why. I just couldn't. So I'm very interested to go back.
I didn't like Dynamite at the beginning. Yeah, I didn't like the first couple of months of AEW television. I didn't. I tried and I just couldn't watch it.
Even the pandemic, I think it was hard for me to watch it. And suddenly I started watching around the time Jericho and Orange Cassidy had a storyline, and they had the Mimosa match. And I actually watched around that time kind of religiously. And then not until CM Punk came back at Rampage did I suddenly go, okay, I love CM Punk. I'll pop in and out.
Right.
Before, I wouldn't even pop in and out. I was just like, I'm not watching this for whatever reasons. But now I have been popping in and out to see who's on, who's went on, because I don't like everybody there. I like some
No,
people.
I don't either. But I will say one thing. I know that you told me last week I was being critical of AEW. I will say one thing. If you sit down through an entire episode of Dynamite, I do feel like there's something for everyone. If you like the more lighthearted stuff, if you like the violent stuff, if you like the technical stuff, I do think that AEW feels like a well-rounded show. It's just that they put all of that in one show. You know what I mean? So they're trying to give something for everybody. If you like comedy, it's there. But I do think that it feels like a little all over the place, but it's because they do have something for everyone.
Yeah. I really thought, I had a couple of thoughts about the announcement, but now that he didn't answer, now after Tony Khan didn't answer that question, and then after I've seen some more reports online saying, oh yeah, this is happening, I was thinking, because I kept seeing a rumor about Ring of Honor being purchased, and I'm like,
right,
Ring of Honor being purchased by AEW? And I'm thinking, okay, well, Ring of Honor can be your NXT. It can be where you send wrestlers to come back from injury and train, or bring in someone you don't know and train them there, because we've talked about it. You can't keep bringing the Keith Lees and the WWE people who aren't being used properly into AEW. You got to build your own talent, the homegrown talent that is, and maybe that could work out, but I have no idea. That's not the rumor that obviously is going to happen tonight, but this is one I was hoping.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what he announces today. It doesn't sound like it's a signing, so it makes me more curious about it, because, you know, when it's a signing, he'll tell you like somebody's debuting or this or that. I think it's going to be something a lot more interesting than that. I know he was asked about going for bigger arenas, and he kind of responded that with the T-Mobile Arena being bigger than the MGM Arena, where they did the first Double or Nothing. So I also speculated about whether he's going to announce a stadium show. But I would assume if he does a stadium show, it will be for All Out. So we're not going to hear about that for a while, you know. So I'm actually very curious about this one.
Same. I can't wait, because I really just hope that AEW ends up on a platform, because it's HBO. It's not like, if you look at Peacock's numbers in the WWE, every monthly event, even if someone says, "Oh, Elimination Chamber was terrible," or Survivor Series was terrible, or whatever, if you look at the increases of when they joined Peacock versus when they were on the network, it's a giant increase. 30%, 50% viewership. So guess what? Joining Peacock brought more eyes on the WWE. AEW joining HBO, to me, is like, whoa, you have landed on a premium label, because I love Peacock. I technically work for Peacock and NBC. Love you so much. But it's not called NBC. It's called Peacock. HBO Max is called HBO. Like, we have the name in the brand. I don't know why they didn't call it NBC, but whatever.
Same. I don't like that. I never liked the name Peacock, and I do think HBO does bring a little bit of pristine. I love the idea of them being part of HBO Max. Like, I think it adds value to them 100%, and they will have a big audience that already subscribes to HBO. HBO Max is pretty hot right now. Euphoria, everybody's watching it. There's a lot of people that are already on that platform that might just say, you know what? Let me check it out. Why not?
Well, yeah, especially if you show a commercial with like a bloody Thunder Rosa, or thumbtacks, or explosions, and sexy women, and high-flying moves, and powerful people like Hobbs, like Jon Moxley, Daniel Bryan, CM Punk. You put that in a commercial in the middle of when you're trying to watch a show on HBO, shit, you're all set.
Yep.
So
agreed.
I'm very excited about this. I really hope that's the announcement, because I would like to just go back and lately I've been coming home late at night and putting on 1999 episodes of Raw. I'm not watching them. They're just in the background. But I would like to put on Dynamite from, 2 years ago and just start from the beginning and see, maybe I had an issue with it because it was hurting my WWE. So I didn't give it a chance. But now I'm giving everything a chance. I'm giving everybody Impact,
I
from
appreciate
Japan
that take.
to MLW, GCW.
Yeah, I appreciate that take, because for the longest time I was the WWE girl and I don't want to watch anything else. And I will say the first All In, I remember watching it and going, you know what? I didn't love all of it, don't get me wrong. But I remember thinking, you know what? That wasn't bad. I had a good time watching that. And like you said, I even have a freaking Nick Gage t-shirt now. Like, it's funny how when you open, I love Nick Gage. Maybe it's because it's gangster, but I love him. But like, there's just something about I love wrestling. I don't love a company. I love wrestling. I cover wrestling now for a living. I want wrestling to do very well, so all wrestling. At the same time, I just feel like, I don't know, they need to, I don't know how to say this without being controversial, but they need to expand their fan base, because the current fan base that they have right now is so hardcore that it's very hard to just give AEW criticism without just being shit on by everyone. No, they're not perfect. Neither is WWE. No company is perfect right now. And I just feel like, why wouldn't you want your company to do better? Like you need to be able to accept that not everything that they're doing is perfect. And that's okay. They have to try things and see how it goes. I hated Adam Cole and Orange Cassidy. Hated it. I think Cole and Hangman Page is a good idea. So, you know what I mean? It's just like, I feel like they need a more wide variety of fans, because they're catering to the hardcore base, is making the toxicity in the wrestling community worse.
Yes, 100%. And on the media call, I was kind of happy that Tony Khan actually said that he was part of the IWC. And I think the IWC, for a long ass time, has been like this awful name. Like, I'm not part of that. I don't like that. But in reality, we are all part of that. We are all part of. I love when
he said that.
Good fans, bad fans, happy fans, toxic fans, little kids, old people. Like, everyone is part of this group.
Yeah, when he said that, I talked. I was like, yes, if you have social media and you watch wrestling and you go on social media or follow any of their platforms, then you're part of the IWC. You know what I mean? Like that's the one part that I'm like, I don't understand why everybody wants to be in denial. If you're on social media and you follow AEW, you follow WWE, you're technically part of the IWC.
Right. Yes. It's like, listen, so like, I live in America. Do I agree with everything America does? No. But I'm not going to be like, I'm not part of America because I disagree with what they do here. No, that's not the case at all. I have strong opinions about one thing and I have strong opinions about another thing. So IWC, I was very happy to hear Tony Khan say that, because it suddenly gave it's okay. It's okay, everyone, to be part of this group.
Yeah, I mean, it's big, and if you think about it, the IWC has made things happen. I think the IWC was a big integral part on the first All In, and AEW being created once they saw, hey, there is an audience for other wrestling out there. Let's do it. And I really think the IWC was a huge part, and maybe that's why Tony Khan is so, positive towards it, because I don't think that we will have AEW without Metzel, like Dave Metzel sending that tweet, and Cody Rhodes and the Young Bucks saying, oh yeah, look where we're at now from there. And a lot of that was because of the IWC.
Yep. No, I agree. Everything's working out. Everyone's doing well. Everyone's kicking ass. I'm just very excited to see what happens next. And we've had this conversation before, and it happens a lot when I talk to my friends who don't watch wrestling anymore. They don't even know what AEW is. They don't know it. They don't even heard of it. So when HBO Max, and they're suddenly watching, Euphoria or other movies or shows, they're going to see it. And they'll be like, oh, I clicked on that. I watched it. And you know what? It wasn't that bad. And suddenly new audience members are growing. Are they watching weekly? Probably not, but at least they're watching a little bit.
Exactly. And you're becoming more familiar, and the word is being spread out. So I don't think that him putting AEW on a streaming platform, I think it's nothing but good business. Is going to bring more eyes to the product. He just has to make sure that the deal is lucrative for him and for AEW as a company.
Yes. Agreed. So, we'll probably talk about Revolution tomorrow because I got to get going. But again, thank you everyone for listening to us talk about speculations about the AEW announcement from Tony Khan. I do love the tweets, though, of Tony has an announcement to explain his announcement that will be announced at AEW Revolution. And I love that shit. I think it's hilarious.
Me too.
But,
Me too.
Well, again, after even listening to Tony Khan talk for an hour, I was like, okay, you know what? Everyone judges someone until you actually talk and listen to someone speak for a long period of time. And suddenly I was like, okay, you know what? All these little jokes and jabs aren't needed, but they're still funny. But yet I can imagine him being pissed about them.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought the call went great. I like when he gives long explanations to things. It always pops me.
Yeah, no, it's good. But thank you guys so much for listening to Body Slam Your Ears, sponsored by the NYC Demon Diva YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification button. I've been Steve Fall. She's been Issa. We end this show the same way we do every time we get together and talk about wrestling. And how do we do that?
Yes.
Adios.